Welcome to the Language Learners Lounge podcast, where we discuss and learn more about the wonderful world of learning foreign languages. The views, opinions, and suggestions mentioned in today's episode are that of the hosts and guests and do not reflect any actual research unless otherwise mentioned or cited. Thank you for listening and enjoy this week's discussion. And welcome to another episode of Language Learners Lounge. This is going to be an interesting discussion today. Jokes flying around, big insights that we're looking at, throwing out there. Going to be an interesting one, a good carryover from our previous episode. My name is Kyler Lopez.
And I'm Joshua Flood.
And once again, we are your hosts. Welcome back to a new episode. We've had some exciting things actually happen with our podcast the past couple weeks or so. Time was unfortunately not of the essence, so we were only able to get one highlight reel out of the previous episode out. And we just got to give it a huge shout out because that just blew up. Like, out in our faces, really.
Yeah, honestly, I was very surprised, honestly. I was not expecting the Keen, like, apparently a lot of people have similar experience with Keen Wanda,
That, or
apparently.
we had people who, we had one person DM us with information about where we can learn more Kinyo Rwanda from, and I actually took a look at the profile. It's actually legit. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a legit learning profile. I loved it. Great
Yeah.
resource there. So big shouts out to that person who gave us that resource. I'm definitely going back there. Thankfully, I now have a more dated source than what I've been using for learning Kinyarwanda. So that'll help me a
Yeah.
whole lot.
Yeah. And honestly, if you guys ever have similar things, like if you guys have accounts that you guys like are would be really good. Like if we shout out some obscure language, but you guys know of an account that really dives deep into that, feel free to share it with us anytime and through our Instagram or any other thing that we have.
Yeah, we're always open to those new sources. And so, I'm not going to lie. I just about jumped for joy when I saw the message come in of a profile referral to learning more Kinyarwanda. And goodness knows, there are so many other people who agree with me and my viewpoint on Swahili and Kinyarwanda are different. So, nice to know, even from, people who speak it natively, I would hope they know, and they do, that Kinyarwanda and Swahili are different. And who knew that was the big argumentative point I had to make on an episode that would unite an entire group of people that then got it, at least last I checked, like 1.2 thousand views
Hmm.
on Instagram. Like, that is. And it's. And not only that, but it's been sent to other people a total of 17 times. Which also just as crazy to us. It may not sound like a
Hmm.
huge number to you guys as far as like, how successful a podcast should be for some people to, announce it like this. But to us, this is a huge success.
Yeah, honestly, I say that this is a good milestone for us. We're only on our third episode so far, and
Yeah,
honestly, we appreciate all the support, even if it's not a whole bunch.
it,
We
it
appreciate it regardless.
yeah, we really do. It means so much to us to have that kind of support from you guys. I mean, between like just comments that you send in, between resources you send us, between just viewing our material, even listening to these episodes, it means a lot to us that you take the time to listen or watch the highlights of each of these episodes, even if they just seem like the most out of context thing of our episodes. We really appreciate it.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
and it's like Josh said, it's a milestone for us that something like this is even happening, especially after our second episode. Like, continue this if you want. It's amazing to
Yep.
see the support you guys are giving us. Oh, but now it's time to get into our discussion today. The main basis of what today's episode is going to encapsulate. And so we mentioned in our previous episode, which was over how to identify the difference between masculine and feminine nouns, with a big, stronger focus on Spanish, but also some focus on French. Today,
Hmm.
that episode actually had a little bit of a call out to what would be a future episode, which we decided we would do so immediately, and that was pronouns.
Yep.
You know, we're gonna get into the pronouns. Every language has them. Every language has different pronouns for different levels of things. So we're gonna discuss that. We might
Hmm.
stay on a particular language itself, but hopefully we'll try to hit more bases with different languages than just like Spanish or French. And that could go a long ways with
Yep.
pronouns, because I mean we know in English, he, him, she, her, hers, his.
Is it's, they, their.
Yeah, kind of your general basics with pronouns. And then you have pronouns in different languages.
Hmm.
And so let's kind of discuss that really. Like what some of those pronouns are, because some languages, similar to English, they do have your normal subjective pronouns like I, you, he, her, or he, she, it. They have those. But then also like English, some languages still have the possessive pronouns like mine, yours, his, hers, ours, or even
Hmm.
just simply my, your, our, and whatnot.
Yeah. And we're so and there will also be some languages that technically don't have their own pronoun for the possessive. Like I definitely know of like Chinese and Japanese really don't technically.
Yeah,
They have they just have a word that just tells them a possession.
yeah. And it's not exactly the same with Swahili. I mean, pronouns with Swahili are interesting. I mean, you still get your normal uh, pronouns that are subjective. So, like, you still get, uh, you know, Mimi for I, Wewe for you, Yeye for he or she. But then your possessive pronouns, if you're looking at it from a sentence structure standpoint, you put those pronouns actually at the end of the subject that's being spoken about. So, like,
Hmm.
if you're saying, like, my food in Swahili, it's chakula changu. So you have chakula, which is
Hmm.
food, and then changu, which is my. So you have those kind of possessive pronouns in Swahili. But then
Yep.
you could also have a case with, like, as you said, Chinese, but also Haitian Creole, where possessive pronouns are a little bit different. Haitian Creole is an interesting one in which the pronouns they give you can be both subjective and possessive.
Yes.
Like, it's like the main thing to pay attention to is where the pronoun is in the sentence.
Hmm.
Because,
And is it after a noun or is it after a verb? Is it like for yeah,
mm-hmm,
that stuff.
yeah, because it's very interesting when you hear somebody say, like, lively in Haitian Creole. And, you know, it, it means, his book.
Hmm.
But I've heard some people use this as an example of like how confusing Haitian Creole pronouns are, where it's Lili Lively, which is he reads his book or she
Hmm.
reads her book.
Yeah.
You got like three different accounts of the same word, but they each mean different things. One of those things is not even a pronoun in Haitian Creole.
Yep. Well, it's a verb, but yeah, Haitian Creole is definitely interesting in that way. I I will say I don't I think that's kind of, at least in my the reason why I think that one is kind of easy to tell. For one is it's like we already have a sub we have the subject at the beginning. That's normally where the subject will be in Haitian
Hmm.
Creole. So that's probably talking about a pronoun, and this is not a command, so it's not going to be Lee. And then you have the verb, which that's a Lee, and then and then we have a leave Lee, which is his or her book. Like, we have the object, and it's after a noun that is not a noun that is not a verb.
Yeah.
So you can tell. It's context based in that way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And a majority of working with pronouns in Haitian Creole, at least from what I've learned, is definitely very context heavy. Um,
Hmm.
the one thing that is actually interesting that I feel like is not commonly spoken about when it comes to Haitian Creole is when you get to possessive words like mine or ours in
Hmm.
Haitian Creole. Because what they teach you about that is you say pam, so PA space, and then M if you're saying mine.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
like, machimwe se pam. Wait,
Hmm.
I need to fix that. This is the one time where examples have to be logical.
Yeah.
The one time that examples need to be logical. Machine sa se pam. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that's better. So yeah,
Yep.
machine sa se pam. This car is mine.
Yep.
That's that's essentially what you're trying to say there. So quick little Haitian Creole lesson here to help better understand that sentence for you listeners. So you have pa in Haitian Creole, pa, and they have two meanings based on where they are in the sentence. They negate something. So like you could say "mwe pa kapab fesa," I can't do that, or I
Hmm.
cannot do that. For those who probably can't understand contractions just yet, but you have that. But then you also have um, the word by, and that pa can mean.
Hmm.
It can mean.
Yep.
So you can say, what's a good example? Photo ça c'est fait par moi. This picture was made by me.
Hmm.
And so it's one of those double meaning context things. We once again bounce
Yep.
back to the context of Haitian Creole. And so simply by saying pam, it's just saying by me. But
Yep.
then with the context of the sentence, you're essentially saying mine or yours. So another one you could say is ménage ça c'est pas. This
Hmm.
this girlfriend is yours. I don't know when you'll
Yep.
have to say that to someone. Hopefully you don't have to say that to someone. That would be a very awkward moment with someone, but just as an
Yeah.
example here.
Yeah,
That just
that's a thing that is probably that you don't have to be logical because we probably would not be saying that in your life.
yeah, probably not. I wouldn't imagine so.
Yeah.
I,
Uh, and I will say the a way to say it, kind of the other way to say pa would be like not. Me pa se pom. I'm not an apple.
we're getting into Duolingo level examples here.
Yeah, that's a Duolingo example. I mean, it is logical, but I think it'd be obvious that I'm not an apple.
It would be. It would be.
Yeah.
So we
So
have.
yeah, basically we see that like the pa is before the verb. That's a good indication that it's probably talking about it not being something. And then like the context of like Kyler's examples for it be referring to by, normally we'll have like has some sort of noun or like pronoun to indicate that it's referring to by
Yeah.
or it's of somebody's
Hmm.
is. And that's a general good rule of thumb, though there are exceptions not like if you say like I'm trying to think like not something. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like the good rundown of how pronouns are used in Haitian Creole.
Yeah.
And from what I've learned so far, Chinese is about the same way. A lot of my Chinese knowledge just comes from my own self education. I mean, Josh here is taking a class in Chinese, and
Yeah.
as is my cousin, which is
Yeah.
a little ironic because they actually attend the same class. So,
Yeah. And it was honestly the funniest story. We didn't funniest story. Like she was sitting right behind me. We talked. I mentioned I was from Indiana. She mentioned that she had cousins in Indiana, and I asked if she knew their names, and she said like, "Oh yeah, their last names are Lopez." And I was like, Do you happen to know a Kyler Lopez?" It was like, it was like, how did that happen?
what a small world it is.
It's a small world
After
after all.
all.
Yep.
and and she's actually one who's actually learning Japanese too. She's actually
Yeah.
she's actually pretty proficient in it from what I've heard. Occasionally, she
Yeah.
and I will exchange messages in Japanese, and um,
Yeah.
when we get to that point where we will bring in special guests, we might actually have an episode where she will come in. She's actually given me some episode recommendations about it, so I'm
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited for what that's going to be like uh, when
Yeah.
when we do start bringing in special guests onto the podcast.
Yeah. All right. And anyway, back to Chinese and Japanese. Yeah, I'd say they have a very similar like rule with like possessive pronouns.
Hmm.
Because like a obviously we know like in Chinese there's like wo, not wo, ni, and ta, and
Hmm.
and then like obviously you go into other things. There's like a woman, Neiman, and Tamen,
Yeah.
and kind of indicating multiple. Those are kind of the rundown. Chinese is actually really simple when it comes to like pronouns and all that stuff. I mean, obviously, there's also need
Yeah.
in
Like paying attention to
with
the tones.
yeah the that's kind of an honorific form of you, but yeah, I'd say Chinese is probably a very simple language when it comes to pronouns overall.
Hmm.
Well, there's not, and then instead you would, uh, and instead of, but they don't really have like designated pro. They don't really have a designated possessive pronoun. They just always add "the" af after all of them.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to say like, trying to think of a word that I know, um, might have to look at my notes real quick. Dun, 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 dun. Oh yeah, I'll just say name. 因为我的名字, to say like my name, 你的名字, would be your name. 他的名字 would be his or her name, depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah. So like,
And
我的老师, you know,
yep,
things like that.
我的老师. Yeah, my teacher.
Yeah, things like that. It's it's interesting how pronouns work in some languages, and as we've been talking about, the possessive pronouns here, you know, it's nice that you do have like some of the gender neutral ones that come
Yep.
around. So like we bounce right back to Spanish, when you're saying like my house, mi casa.
Mi casa es su casa, which could either be his house, her house.
It could,
It can be the formal for your house,
yeah. I
and
was
it could
just about
even
to say
be
that.
like a formal, and it could even be like multiple people's house.
Yeah,
So that,
and
yeah,
and it's nice that it's not, gender dependent because it does mean it's a little less you have to learn in the language, but it also just kind of gives you that sigh of relief because you, at least with Spanish, you already have enough to learn as far as like masculine, feminine, noun side.
yep,
I mean, like we discussed uh, in the previous episode, but at least with the possessive,
possessive, possessive. I didn't know they could be pros.
can I ever get a break with English failing me?
Mm, maybe one day.
This is the second episode in a row that this has happened.
We all have those days. English just fails us.
Apparently, this seems to happen in these episodes.
Yep.
Last time I couldn't even say examples. Now I can't even say
Hmm.
possessive.
Yep. Not not possessive.
Is this just gonna have to take it back to what my mission days were like as far as like what my language study has been?
Honestly, maybe.
Because at that point, that's kind of what it feels like at this point. I may have to go back to the whole 6 out of the 7 days of the week, keep studying for the foreign languages, and then only one day out of the week, which happens to be the Saturday, restudy English so that I don't fail when I have to talk about
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
That may just end up being the process I switch back to. I don't know. If it happens a third episode in a row, then
Yeah.
I'll have to switch back to that schedule.
Yeah.
But for now, I'll keep it the way it is, which is in my availability, 7 days a week, study
Yeah. Good idea.
consistently, practice, use it, all of it.
Hmm.
Huh.
All right.
What was
So what were we talking about for a second? I forgot.
me too,
Uh,
honestly.
weren't we like talking about like Spanish pronouns and how the possessive is at least in terms of like the gender neutral pronoun possessive pronoun, how it was easier than
Yeah,
English because
yeah,
they
yeah,
aren't really
yeah,
gendered,
yeah. Because they're not gender dependent. Yeah, it's nice when you can
except for
focus.
nuestra and nuestros.
Yeah, that's kind of the only time that it really is
Yeah,
gender dependent. It's if you have like nuestro and nuestra or vuestro and vuestra, which isn't as common in today's Spanish speaking.
yeah,
I've
that
really only seen that in like some of the older, like when you see like retranslations of like older texts into
yeah.
modern
You
day.
see it a lot in the Bible.
You do. You see it a lot in the
Yeah,
Bible. Any sort of like pieces of scripture that are in Spanish, you see vuestro and vuestra a lot in
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But then,
Though it's not dependent on on the person who has the possession. It's dependent on the next word's gender.
yeah,
Which, if you want to understand that, go back to the previous episode.
yeah, that
Where
that
we
would be
talk a
important.
little bit more about that.
We do.
Yeah.
Some statistics in that one too, but we do talk a lot about the masculine, feminine nouns in mostly Spanish, but sometimes French in that episode. But you can go back to that episode, or you can watch that episode first before watching this one. If anything, you're probably already partway through this one and you're already hearing this, and so it's probably already deemed too late in your mind to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So, might as well just save it as a post episode trip.
Yep.
And so, yeah, you got Spanish with those uh, gender neutral possessive pronouns, with the exception of nuestro and nuestra, and then vuestro and vuestra. But then you also have languages like French and Portuguese, where their possessive pronouns are gender dependent on the noun being spoken about.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So instead of saying, like, my house in Portuguese, you say sua casa in Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
So
like, because, house is a feminine word in Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have, like, car, which is a masculine word. And so instead of saying sua carro, you say seu carro.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's
Yep.
you still get something similar to the nuestro and nuestra in Spanish, but you have nosso and nossa in Portuguese for at least we, and then same with vosso and vossa for the
Mm-hmm.
very formal version of you, which again I
Yep.
don't see a lot of in modern day text unless it's been retranslated from like the Bible into Portuguese. That's about the only time I've seen vosso and or vossa.
Yep.
But then on top of that, you also have pluralizing those possessive pronouns. So
Yep.
suas casas, your homes, or his homes,
Yep.
her homes.
Yep.
Now, saying my in Portuguese is interesting because we hear about sua and tua for like his, hers, yours, and whatnot. But then with my, it's all the same in masculine. Meu, teu, seu. But then in feminine, it's minha. So
Yep.
minha casa,
Minha casa.
minha vida. You know,
Minha vida. Yep.
and then we get into more of those interesting exceptions where it comes to gender, where you could say meu coração, my heart.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you got those.
Yeah.
You got those. This one's kind of a little bit of a different tangent with Portuguese, but when you're saying the number two, that one is also very masculine, feminine dependent. Because you say you say it very differently based on if the noun is masculine or feminine. I remember getting
Yeah.
tripped up about this for the very first time, and this was
Yeah.
the very first time I learned that you have to play that carefully because of course we know when you say a or just like one,
Mm-hmm.
that is very gender dependent as well.
Yep.
Uma casa, carro. I didn't realize
Yeah.
that.
But
Yeah, I didn't realize that when you say the number two, it's the same way.
interesting. Because in Spanish, it's only really just when it's one.
Yeah.
And but 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 I haven't studied enough Portuguese to know that much in terms of like how two changes. But
Well,
yeah,
you're
that is interesting.
well, you're about to get that little bit of a Portuguese TED talk here because this is coming from when I first learned that it does change. When I really started getting serious about my language studies on my mission, I remember I wanted to definitely get better at my Portuguese because my phone didn't have a Haitian Creole language setting, and at the time I didn't pick French back up. So
Hmm.
I wanted to advance a little bit more on my Portuguese because at the time I was already so focused on Haitian Creole and Spanish that I was like, I got to work on something else. And so I switched my phone's language, and my phone's language is still in Portuguese. So I have not changed it since.
Hmm.
So I switched my phone's language to Portuguese for the first time. And so, of course, when you do that, everything, if it's available, is going to change into Portuguese, be it social media, games, apparently YouTube videos as well.
Yep.
Because when I'm trying to watch a video in English and it comes out in Portuguese, sure, I could keep watching, but if it's one I really want to get invested into, like if it's like some sort of big engineering project, I want to be able to understand it a little bit clearer. I want to hear like the science in it.
Yep.
And so that's when I was like, wait, huh? Or even if it's like a comedy sketch, I want to be able
Yeah.
to hear the jokes first in my native language before I hear how they translate into the other language. Now, there are some exceptions to that. There are some things I have
Yep.
heard in Portuguese first before I've ever heard it in English. Um, that's another tangent I can go on a little bit later as we dive into French.
Yeah.
But I remember for the first time using my maps since switching my phone to Portuguese. I still do this to this day, where I will set it to start my route, start leading me, and I will turn off my phone screen and put the phone away and rely only on my listening to handle all that. And so I remember for the first time I was on one of our main roads. I remember hearing "em duas milhas," and I was like, "Duas? Like, what's duas?" Because for the longest time, I've learned two in Portuguese is dois, and here I am hearing duas, and I'm like, "What in the?" And so I look at my phone. I've already driven so far enough that the two is gone, so I'm still lost. And so
Mm-hmm.
I keep driving. I hear it again, in duas milhas, and I'm like, "What does this mean?" And so finally, as I keep driving, I finally reach my destination and I pull out Google Translate and I do the whole voice to text thing. And so I say that
Mm-hmm.
exact statement, "em duas milhas," and it shows up in 2 miles. And that was a big slap in the face of, oh, so you conjugate two as well.
That sounds funny.
Yeah. So there's my fun little story about what it was like getting familiar with what two is like in Portuguese that can be masculine and feminine based on which noun is being
Mm-hmm.
used. French is not quite the same way.
Mm-hmm.
As a very quick, right, sharp right turn into the next language with masculine, feminine, possessive pronouns, that being French.
Yep.
Those, those get interesting because much like what we talked about with the
Mm-hmm.
masculine, feminine nouns, French words do have the potential that if it starts with a vowel, the pronoun will get contracted into the word.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you, I mean, probably if you know like je, but like if I wanted to say I learn, and the word for learn is apprend. It so you have to and the J E. Normally they don't like to put like E with the next one, especially since like the E's just kind of fly in French, especially like the smaller words.
Yeah,
So when you see it written, and it will look like that there will kind of be no E, and it will just be J apostrophe apprend,
yeah.
j'apprends.
And I mean, of course, you do have to conjugate the verb, but
Yeah.
that's what happens with the pronouns. And it's kind of the same when you ask, like, what is your name? Comment tu t'appelles? You know, you
Hmm.
hear it sounds like t'appelles is all its own word, but all it really is just taking the uh, possessive pronoun for your and contracted it into appel, and
Hmm.
it works like that. It's just the same with saying je m'appelle,
Hmm.
which, fun fact, it does mean my name is, but the
Hmm.
literal translation is I call myself.
Yeah. Anybody who has studied like a romance language probably is aware that it's called that it's in the common way to introduce your name is just as the they use the verb to call.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
mean, because even in Haitian Creole, when you say my name is, you say Mwerele.
Hmm.
The only one time I've seen a language that does not use, you know, the I'm called type statement for my name is
Hmm.
Swahili, and they do a direct translation too. Jina langu ni, and then whatever your name is. Because
Hmm.
that literally translates to my name is. Now, other
Yeah.
languages, you would just use the base pronoun and then your name. So,
Yep.
like, as an example, if I were introducing myself in Russian, I could easily say yakiler in Russian.
Hmm.
I have yet to meet a Russian to tell me from spelling what is my name in Russian. So,
Yep.
I've had other people tell me what my name is in, like, Haitian Creole, Spanish, Swahili, Japanese. I've heard my name said in those languages. I have yet to
Hmm.
hear what my name in Russian is.
Yep.
I would imagine it's probably not as far off as I would imagine with,
Yeah.
because I know in Spanish it's simply killer. So I would imagine it's probably somewhere close to that. I know in Arabic I have to say it as kilar.
Hmm.
That's one of
Yeah.
the ones I remember.
Yeah, and if I was to change my name in different in languages, if it was Spanish, it would be Josue. In French, it would be Josue.
And
Just
you
yeah,
see, at least you have it easy. I have to rely on what people tell me my name is in order to know what my name translates into.
yeah. I all I have to do. What does the Bible say? What does the Bible say my name is?
Yeah, you have it easy with that. Is this person in the Bible has my name? What is their translation?
Hmm.
Whereas me, it's like, hi, what is my name? What is your name?
What is your name?
and so my name is written out like this, and then I have them read it, and how they say it, that's how I know that's my name. Um,
Yep.
because it, or it's just something completely different. Like maybe there is like a mispronunciation of your name that they hear, and you just stick with that because
Yep.
because I remembered the first time I learned what my name ended up being in Swahili. Um, it was actually because somebody slightly misheard how I said my name, and so
Hmm.
they first thought my name was Mkila,
Yep.
Mkila is how it would be spelled. They thought that's what I said, and I didn't want to correct them
Hmm.
because it sounded close enough to my name, but also sounded more like their roots.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, as long as it's a name that you can respond to, I think it would be. Then I don't think it matters as much if they call you if they mispronounce your name as much.
yeah,
The probably if they learn that you're not the name that wasn't your name, and I just didn't have to. Just didn't really feel I need to correct you.
yeah. And I'll have those moments where I will tell somebody, you know, in English my name is pronounced this, but in your language my name is pronounced this, or my name is instead this. So like
Hmm.
when I have to explain to somebody in uh, Swahili what my name is, I say uh, katika Kiingereza jina langu ni Kyler,
Hmm.
lakini katika Kiswahili jina langu ni Nkila.
Hmm.
And so it just kind of helps them separate, if I'm addressing him in my language, call him this. But if I want to address him in English, address him as this. And nine
Hmm.
times out of 10, they choose their native language to address me as.
Yeah. That makes sense.
We kind of side railed from the possessive pronouns, didn't we?
Yeah. So we were, I think the last we were talking about it, we were talking about like the French ones, and then we went on a tangent about how like in other languages they say to call.
Yeah, because we were talking
Um,
about the contracted forms of the pronouns for possessive
yeah.
pronouns. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were. Yeah, because I mean, it's like we said originally. French has the same pronouns as, um, has the same kind of masculine feminine rule as Portuguese does, where based on the word, if it's masculine or feminine, it takes on the masculine or feminine form of that possessive pronoun. So
Mm-hmm.
like uh, when you're saying my my boy, why did that
Mm-hmm.
come to mind? I don't know. We're sticking with it.
I I was thinking I was thinking my friend like mon ami. Mon
Yeah, mon
ami.
ami. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, mon ami, my friend. Mon amour, my love. If you really want to get into
Yep.
the big fancy romantic side of things, if that's why you're studying French, but then you
Yep.
also have some of the uh, more feminine ones that we have out there. So um, why is my brain blanking on what a feminine word is in French? We just spoke about it a couple
Uh
weeks ago.
uh apple. Oh wait, that's yeah, that's feminine, right?
I believe so. Yeah, ma pomme. That sounds right.
Yeah, my poem. Yeah, my apple.
Let me fact check it. Let me fact check it. We could be wrong.
Apple is normally feminine in most languages. It might be, at least in the romance languages, but I
We
could
were
be
right.
wrong. You're right. Okay, good.
We were right. It is feminine.
That's good.
Woo! Saved
Yeah.
myself from a potential fourth time being bagged. No,
Yep.
fifth or sixth. It's however many times that it's been like I'm waiting for the comments to hound on me about
Yeah.
something.
And I would have been hounded too if we failed
We
this
would have
time.
shared that one.
Yep.
So there we go. Ma pomme, my
Yeah.
apple.
My
Sa-
poem.
same statement, just a feminine noun, which means a feminine possessive pronoun.
Mm-hmm.
And so, French has that. I believe Italian does too.
I think so. I haven't studied enough Italian to say yes or no.
The only thing, as far as any other language that I know, regarding like possessive pronouns, uh, at least to my knowledge, is I know with Russian to at least say my is moi.
Muy.
So like
Yeah.
I hear this a lot, especially in like movies where um they have Russians. You'll hear a lot of people say "Bоже мой," which I don't want to translate that because to me I will say that as "my gosh," but other people say it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you hear that a lot. Um, and so, or even like "mleko moy," my meat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, Russian has that. I haven't gotten into much of the possessive pronouns in Greek to really say
Yeah.
what they are.
Yeah, and I haven't done enough in like Hebrew or let's see what other languages. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know much about how it is in like Hebrew or Swedish yet, so
And
I
and
don't
each
really
language
want to.
handles it differently.
Yeah.
And I mean, because I know with Swahili, jumping back on that train, you know, they have those different pronouns for like possessive or subjective, but then they also have their own pronouns when it comes to, well, pronouns. Putting them in air quotes here
Hmm.
for those who can't see or watch anything because they're probably listening on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything else. But for those on YouTube, y'all saw that I did air quotes.
Yep.
But yeah, they're not really pronouns. They're more of like the conjugations to words. But it's
Hmm.
one of those. They even have them as part of the verb.
Yep.
Um, so like as an example, if you say he goes,
Hmm.
you don't say yeye anaenda. You don't say that. You just say straight up anaenda.
Hmm.
Now it's different if you're saying someone's name and then saying they're going. So like, um, we'll use the name David for example.
Hmm.
David is going. You would say Daudi anaenda. You would still use the same conjugations you would use if you were using he or she, but you would put it after the person's name.
Hmm.
And so, in a sense, when you just leave it on its own, that's kind of where my brain kind of filters it as a pronoun of a sort. Is because if you're just generally saying he, you don't add the ye as part of it.
Hmm.
And it's the same with like you or I, you know, saying like, um, saying like I love. I don't say mimi ninapenda. I just say straight up ninapenda.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, each language is very fascinating in their own right as far as like how they handle the pronouns, and
Yeah.
it's
And I will say, it's very it's a bit different, but it kind of does remind me of like how in Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian you can sometimes drop the subject pronoun if you know what you're talking about. Oh, like obviously, like if you conjugate it with like the like I with like yo, whatever, the you form, the we form, just whatever, you can sometimes drop it. Or if you already know what you're talking about, like if you're talking about third person over there, if you already know what you're talking about, you can say like, hey, you can drop the ella, usted, ellos, ella, ellas, ustedes. You can drop that if like you already know what you're talking about.
yeah, for sure. And conjugations definitely help with doing that for you.
Yeah.
So I think that's about all we got for our discussion about pronouns here.
Yeah.
We didn't we didn't quite get to crack what kind of jokes we wanted to because we were actually kind of discussing kind of our pre-huddle to this episode. We were kind of cracking jokes to
Yeah.
each other about how this would kind of be an episode about, we identify as this as
Yeah.
part of it. But we didn't get to those jokes, and that is fine. I mean, I feel like we had a pretty big, insightful discussion about it, plus a few side
Yeah.
tangents and stories
Yeah.
as well.
By the way, if any of you are curious, we both think that we are he, him. At least we think so.
That's what our pre-huddle discussion came down to is we think we are he him. At
Yeah.
least we obviously are he him, but for the sake of the joke, we think we are.
Yeah.
And so that that I feel like should be a good conclusion to this episode right here.
Hmm.
We we covered more languages in this than I think we would ever thought in
Hmm.
this. I mean, Russian, we
Yeah.
covered Swahili, we covered French, Spanish, Portuguese,
Yeah.
even some Chinese in there.
Yep.
Like
Which,
that's
which, especially with me studying Chinese, I might throw that in a bit more.
oh yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah.
And and I'm gonna try and throw in whatever language that I can the more I learn them. Like
Yeah.
like I know I gave some involvement in the previous episode about Hawaiian. And so I hope
Yeah.
that as I continue to learn Hawaiian, I'll be able to incorporate that as well
Yeah.
into it all.
Yeah. And I did also mention Hebrew. I'm hoping that like we could probably eventually, if I can find some way to better learn that, I can throw in some of that. Swedish, I'd hope to throw in. Probably you can even throw in some Arabic.
Ooh,
And
that'll be really fun.
yep,
I already have so much fun with Arabic anyway. It's
yeah,
it's a lot of fun. I mean, there are some things you got to get used to with Arabic, like some of their diacritics that help to shorten vowel sounds in it, which
yeah,
does make the language, at least written wise, look more confusing than it actually is. But once you get used to the diacritics, it's a breeze. It's
yeah,
essentially just learning another language that is strictly written in cursive,
yeah.
really.
And I think, and if I remember, from what I recall, Hebrew and I think Farsi or Persian also have diacritics. Or am I thinking Indonesian?
I,
Probably
I don't think Indonesian does, nor Hebrew.
Indonesian.
Hindi does, ish.
I actually Hebrew kind of does. It Hebrew kind of does.
Yeah, Hebrew kind of does. I don't know. I haven't touched up on Hebrew enough to really say so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Hebrew does. At least for like modern Hebrew. I know like sometimes when they actually write it out, they'll exclude the diacritics, but it's like to help people learn, they'll include diacritics
Yeah,
so they know.
and technically Hindi does too. I mean,
Yeah.
they have different symbols and whatnot that depict, different vowel sounds, similar to what Arabic has, but it's placed differently in the word or
Hmm.
in next to the consonant so that you can better recognize what sound it is. And unlike Arabic, you read Hindi left to right, whereas Arabic you read it right to left. Unless
And
it's a
you read it right.
Yeah,
Uh,
unless it's a number, then you read that number left to right, and then return back to the right to left reading style.
yeah. And I will say for Hebrew, they also read right to left.
They do.
So,
Yeah, they
hmm
do. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of this episode. Once again, we want to thank you guys for the continued support for this podcast. I mean, the amount of support we're already seeing is amazing. It's honestly pretty miraculous, I will say. I don't think
hmm
this soon into the episode we expected this kind of success. So we're truly happy for all of you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. And as we've always said, if you have a suggestion for what something you want us to talk about in any future episodes, feel free to let us know. Our DMs are always
hmm
open. We've got our email attached to this podcast. Send us a message. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yep.
And with that, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. We'll see you later.
Yep. See you later.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. If you have a suggestion for what you want us to discuss, please leave us a message either through our email or through social media. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope you sit with us again in the Language Learners Lounge.